then, so you join me on a very wet, very windy Manor Lake on the linear complex. Now, I arrived sort of just after 9 o'clock, had to make a swift diversion to grab some fuel because I don't think I was going to make it here, otherwise I was riding that red light and pushing my luck, to be honest. So after a quick diversion and a quick lap of the lake, found a swim that I'm pretty happy with, to be fair. It gives me a lot of access to a lot of open water, and it also gives me quite a cool little margin spot that sort of, I don't know if you know Manor, but there's like a little sort of divot into the bank, sort of like a little bay area, which I'm probably going to stick a single rod down there on, to be fair. I guess a lot of people ignore the margins down here, so probably going to stick the solid bag setup down there and see if anything mooches in that area. But I've been having a good lead around for the last probably hour or so, whilst the rain was at its lightest, and just before I got the rod out and set it all up, I see one show at about sort of 80 yards range. Now I'm not, like I say, I'm not overly familiar with the setup of Manor and stuff like that, but after having a lead around sort of at 80 yards range, just fanning it left to right in front of me, it's pretty apparent that it's weedy, to be fair. I think there's a bank of weed that also runs in front of me, maybe about 50 yards out as well, so that might prove a little bit problematic. But yeah, I've been fanning the rod with just a bare lead on left and right to see if I can find a clean area. I haven't found, you know, a mega clean area, but what I have found is an area that felt like I could get a drop on it, and it was a lot smoother on the pullback. Now, it's definitely not silt or anything like that. It is weed, but it's real low line weed, maybe about, I don't know, 6 inches or so. Stuff that I'm used to fishing over down at my syndicate just down the road, and I'll happily fish over that because, like I say, it's only 6 inches or so deep. So usually what I do is just tend to extend the boom on the rig to allow that to just flutter down and sit nicely. So I'm happy with that. It was the smoothest area that I could get a lead through, and it's at a comfortable range as well. So what I've just done is I've just put 15 spawns of bait out. I'll go through the mix tomorrow because, like I say, I've got here and it's all been a bit of a rush and stuff like that, and I'll go through all that tomorrow. I'm meant to have a nicer day tomorrow, so what I'm going to do now is just tie up some rigs, some hinge stiff rigs. I'm going to go with tried and trusted hinge stiff rigs. Like I say, just extend that boom to around sort of maybe 8-9 inches, just so I know that is sitting flush on top of that low lying weed, and yeah, see what goes from there. Like I said, I don't really know the venue. I'm not a regular down at Linear Waters, so you know, I don't know what is the going thing, but got to get out there and give it a go, haven't we, really? So yeah, fresh off the back of that 2 fish catch from Orchid, so confidence is high at the moment. So let's bring myself down a peg or two and realise that, you know, totally different ball game down here. Very pressured. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 swims tops that are free now after me. So let's get these rods sorted, get the sticks in, get the baits out, and see what happens. But I will catch up with you over the next sort of 48 hours anyway, let you know about rigs, tactics, bait, spod mix, etc, you know, the usual. And fingers crossed there might be a fish or 2 along the way, but I'll leave it there and I'll catch up with you shortly. This is what I was saying about that left hand margin. It's got that nice little, that goes round in there, you know, round here and then back down here. So I've just put the solid bag down there. Who knows, you know, fish might get in there, they might not, but I guess if you don't try something different, you ain't gonna know. So I've got a left hander, solid bag going out in there, and then just in line with this tree, like so from that V to the edge of this tree, around 80 yards out, it felt relatively smooth, to be honest. Like I say, it was weed, but it was smoother than anything else I managed to find. So put a lead out there. Like I say, I had a little lead around, and it's not getting clogged up or anything like that, so I'm happy fishing over that. To be fair, it's similar to what I do, like I mentioned, down the road on my syndicate, and I've had fish over weed like that. So I put about, I don't know, 10 to 12 spawns of bait out over that spot earlier on, and this morning I did see fish show. Fish show around sort of 80 yards out, just to the more to the left though, to be honest. But if it's a line that they're coming through at, then you never know, might be able to pick one or two off. But the wind's still blowing a little bit anyway, but that rain settled, so managed to stretch my legs for 5 minutes. But yeah, until anything else happens, then I'll come back to you. But I'll go through rigs and stuff like that probably tomorrow when I'm a bit more with it. But for now, I'm just gonna keep an eye on the water, see what's happening, and fingers crossed for a bite. So, birthday biggie please, Linear. Catch up with you in a bit. Oh, the lovely British summer. Look at that. Okay. Lovely jubbly. Oh, you can't beat it, can you? Look at it. You just can't beat it. Gotta love a torrential downpour. So let's pop back to the cars. I forgot something, and just on the way back round I was speaking to the guy who's fishing to my left, and it's funny because he's actually a member of my syndicate as well. We recently joined, so I was having a bit of a chinwag, just watching the water and stuff and finding out what happened last night. And he said they've been showing quite close in, and as we were watching the water, just having a chat, I've seen 3-4 fish show half of the distance that that I was currently fishing at, or decided to fish at. So I've had obviously all the rods are in. Just give a quick lead around. Found a real nice clean area at sort of 12 and a half wraps. So I'm sold on that area. It's a lot firmer, a lot harder than what I'm currently fishing over. So just reduced the booms on the hinge stiffs, because it's so much cleaner. They don't need to be, you know, extra long. So I've decided this is what I'm going with. So you've got quarter semi-stiff, £20, looped at either end, obviously little kicker just to push it away, and then you've got the quarter choddies, size 6, white manila pop-up, putty just to critically balance it, so it's just literally fluttering down, resting on any debris that is down there. I think it's probably more silty than weedy down there now, to be honest, but that's going to be on one of the rods. I'm undecided whether I'm going to go with the margin rod and keep it down there, so the solid bag rig will go with 2 hinge stiffs and then a solid bag just half a wrap shorter at 12 wraps, because I found another little spot which is quite nice. So that's going to be one of the rods, probably the right-hander. Exactly the same on the next one in, so the middle one, 6-inch boom again, choddy, size 6. This one's just going to be tipped with a little bit of plastic corn. Again, that's critically balanced just to flutter down nicely on top of anything that's you know, any debris that is down there. So manila, white manila pop-up, little bit of don't even know what I'm doing here, little bit of plastic corn on top, and I'm probably just going to put 10 spoms out over that. That should just be enough to create a nice little carpet, and hopefully, fingers crossed, buy myself a bite. But yeah, that's the 2 rigs that I'm going to be putting out there for tonight. Like I said, I didn't go gung-ho out on that spot earlier anyway, in regards to putting out bait, so I'm not too bothered about that. Obviously, if fish start showing out there, then I can always just sacrifice one of my rods and put it back out there. But for now, going on what I've seen, and the most fish activity on what I've seen in front of me is literally 40-50 yards out, and the guy, like I say, the guy next door said he did see fish showing in front of this swim pretty close in yesterday, so I'll be silly not to go on that. So let's get these rigs on the rods, get them back out, and then put a little bit of bait over the top, and we'll sit on that for tonight, I think, and then see what happens obviously come tomorrow. But after seeing them few shows, I'm a lot more confident that what I'm doing, you know, the little change that I'm doing in regards to rig positioning is right and the right thing to do. So let's shut up now, get the rods back out, get some gear out, and sit and watch the water and see if anything happens. Right then, very quickly, whilst I've got the rod in, this solid bag one, so obviously you see me two other rigs, the hinge stiffs going out on that 12.5 wrap spot. I decided actually I'm going to keep this solid bag going down that corner into that little bay margin. I think 2 out on that area is enough, to be honest, and you know, if things do kick off or have a few takes, I can always sacrifice this rod and put that out there as well. But whilst it's in and whilst I've just made it up, I'll just quickly run through how I kind of tie and use solid bags really. So inside there is just a real supple braided you know, hook length material, knotless knotted onto a size 6 curve hook, and then that's just enough with sort of like, I don't know, few mil, half a centimetre off the back of the head, just to allow that wafter to really sort of move around, etc. That's probably about 3 or 4 inches long, just a little bit longer than the bag really. So these are the small ESP ones, and I've always used these when I use solid bags, and that's very rare, but these are the ones that I always use. They're just a perfect little compact parcel. So just stick obviously the bait you can see in the corner there, stick that in one corner, just lay the hook flush along the bottom, get some micro pellet or some, you know, fine dust or whatever it is that you use in solid bag mix. Just slowly start to build that up. As you can see there, I've got layers, so that's just literally micro pellet, some crushed manila, and then a little bit of micro pellet on top just to bulk it out. Obviously as you're building it up around sort of halfway into topping up the bag, just, you know, use your lead to prod that down, make that nice and firm in the bottom there, pop your lead into the middle, and then start to build up your layers around the lead. Leave about a centimetre gap at the top. So basically after you've filled your bag up, I'll just get the ends, so the end that's wrapped around the tube in there, lick your fingers and just twizzle it round like so. Just twizzle the bag round, and you see obviously the PVA starts to stick and tack to the stem of either your lead, or I use the quarter like sort of long stems, solid bag stems. They're absolutely perfect for this kind of fishing. No messing about with tape and trying to, you know, tie stuff up, etc. Just dab your fingers, twizzle it around, and that's nice and firm. That ain't going anywhere. And like I say, this one's only going down the margin anyway. With these stems, it allows you to use them with tubing, and like I always use tubing. I can't be bothered with faffing around with lead core and all that malarkey, and you know, I just don't do it. So obviously the tubing just sits inside the stem. Just pull that down tight and just feed the tubing inside the stem. I give it a good, you know, good centimetres worth, as you can see, good centimetres worth inside the stem, and then that ain't going anywhere. But that's enough to, you know, that's enough to pull out if need be. If, you know, worst comes to worst, and you know, a fish is, you know, left trailing your rig, all that slide off the main line so easy. Inside there I've got 2.5 inline lead, and again this tubing, this stem just sits on top of that inline lead insert as such. So you've got the lead, the insert on top, which aids for obviously tie-in purposes, and then foot and a half of tubing, just keeps everything pinned down out of the way, and it's really safe. And obviously, you know, this would be perfect for down that margin if there are any branches or anything like that just sticking out, so that'll just protect the main line as such as well. So stop rabbiting on now. Obviously you can give these a go tying them yourselves. They are a devastating you know, way of fishing. I don't use them personally, I've not got much confidence in them, but I think down there just setting a little parcel of food down, if anything gets into that little corner, I think it'll be perfect, to be fair. So let's get it down there and see if it'll do us a fish. As I mentioned, the rods are out. I a little change of areas. So I'm now fishing. You see where that big tree drops down, straight down, vertical. Fishing there, pretty much. So where are we going? Here, this one, and sort of towards that next little dip there. 2 rods in there, about 12.5 wraps out. Nice firm, clean area. And like I say, the left-hander, that's down that margin. But let's see what the night brings. It's nice to see a bit of sunlight. Fingers crossed. I have seen fish actually show as well. Tell a lie, I've seen a good 2 or 3 shows within the area. So there's still fish down here after what we saw earlier. So fingers crossed. Might be able to nick something through the night. I'm just going to kick back now, chill out with a cup of tea. Probably get my head down for an early night. So if anything happens, we'll catch up with you then. Good morning everybody. So it's about 7 o'clock and look at that. Oh, what a way to start my birthday. Glorious blue skies. But that means one thing, they're probably not going to be on the bottom. So what I'm going to do quickly, just set up a quick marker float on my spod rod, get it out there, just figure out some depths of what's in front of me, because I've got a feeling it might be worth a chance on go on zigs. Like, I'm no zig angler by any means, but I'm not willing to just sit on motionless rods, to be honest with you, and just sit on bottom baits when I've got a feeling these fish are going to be appreciating this sun. So I quickly just stuck a marker float set up together on the spod rod, just a lead and a bare lead and a marker float, because obviously there's quite a lot of weed out there in places, so I don't, just want to keep it real streamlined. So I'm just going to chuck that out, have a little mark around, just see what the average sort of depths are like, around sort of 50-60 yards out, I guess. And then I'll run back to the car and grab the zig kit. But let's have a little lead around, see what's out there. But this sun is ridiculously warm, so after the last few days I reckon they might just get themselves up here and warm themselves up a bit after all this rain. So let's have a little flick around, see what we can find, and then I'll reel in all the rods and run back to the car and grab some gear. So I'll catch up with you shortly. Right, so just trekking back to the car, had a little marker around and found it's around 8 foot out in front. It's sort of 12.5 wrap spot where I've been fishing, which is 8 foot, which is not too bad at all. So what I'll do is I'll fish the same sort of distance as where I had my rods originally, so obviously any loose feed will trickle down over the baited patch anyway, and so I'll fish zigs in the day, then I'll have my last chance saloon on the bottom tonight. But yeah, it's around 8 foot, so what I'm thinking, maybe 6.5, maybe one at 6.5, 7 and 7.5 maybe. That covers all three, to a couple of foot over the top of the lake. So if they are proper, within the upper couple of feet of the surface, then that should cover it, to be fair. But obviously you can tweak and chop and change, and if need be, zig fishing has been about motivation, to be fair, and I don't like sitting behind static rods at the best of times. So what I'm going to do is just nip back to the car now, grab some essential supplies, not that I've got a load anyway, get back round there and tie a couple of zigs up and see what goes on with that. But it's such a gorgeous morning. I've missed this sun, to be fair. Everything's going to get a good drying out today. But let's get on down to the car, grab some gear and get back and see if we can get some zigs out there into action. Alright, so back at the car, got all my goodies in here for a week-long session, and just going to sort out what needs into a bucket really. So we've got some real basic porridge oats, 3 lots of that, got some evaporated milk, just got some oil there, just to create a bit of a slick and whatnot. I've just put a few handfuls of little micro pellet in there as well. What I'll do, I've got some hemp in that back at the car. Just thinking what else I could use really. You can obviously grind down some boilies, etc. But it doesn't have to be mad. You know, this stuff's what, 30, 40, 50p at best. Does the job, creates a cloud, that's all you need really, to be fair. So chucking all that in there, just went to have a look for some shorts and couldn't find any, so I'm gonna have to roll up the old trousers and get the legs out, I think. But got a spare t-shirt as well, because I'm absolutely roasting. I think today is going to be a warm day, so let's get all this stuff together and get back to the swim. Right then, so all 3 rods are out. Got one on a 5-foot zig, 6-foot zig and a 7-foot zig. All at 12.5 wraps, so the same area that I'm fishing to on the bottom, because they have been showing not that far out this morning, to be fair, so in the same sort of region as where we saw the shows later on in the afternoon yesterday. Now all the rods were clipped up, like I say, to the same distance. Spawn rods clipped up to the same different distance as well, sorry. And this wind's really picking up as well now, so I've got the sloppy spod mix made up. I'll just show you now. So what I've used is 3 packs of basic simple oats, some evaporated milk, tin of evaporated milk, that makes the cloudiness, mixed in with the oats as well. And then I've got some of the hemp and corn out of my spod bucket, and put that in the mix as well. So it's just a real basic, sloppy, cloudy mix, and obviously the bits that are spilling out in the margins, you can see why it attracts the fish and how they get amongst it, etc., and how it makes them compete and go mad. So let me just flick the camera around without dropping it in there, but that's the mix itself. Sloppy, runny, gloopy and cheap as chips. So you can see all the little particles of hemp in there, little bits of micro pellet, the odd piece of corn, and it's just literally gloopy. Look at it. You know, you are going to get dirty when you do this, so you know, don't be afraid of getting it out there. But that's the mix. Milky, creamy, cloudy as you like. And I'm going to keep putting that in there every sort of 10-15 minutes, couple of spoms, and just letting it drift through, just dropping the spom a little bit more to the left, obviously to allow for this this wind, just allowing it to drift over to obviously my 3 rods. So fishing all quite close together, probably within a rod length of each other, like I say 5, 6 and 7, and obviously the first one to go, then I'll obviously make the other 2 at the same distance. But it's perseverance with this, to be fair. Like, you know, there have been fish in the area, so it's just trying to draw them into that little area and that little patch. But yeah, that's the spod mix. Get out there and give it a go yourself on a day like today on the Runs water. I'm no zig fisherman, you know, by any means, but I'm no zig fisherman by any means, but you got to give these things a go. It'd be pointless sat on bottom baits still behind the rods, so might as well get active. It's a sunny day, appreciate the sun and get out there and give it a go. So obviously if I have any results off this method, then I'll flip the camera back on and we can have a look how it's all going. But I'm going to keep working at it. Just going to get some breakfast on in a minute because I haven't eaten yet. Nice birthday bacon sandwich, I think. So yeah, let's work at it and see what happens through the day. Absolutely starving. Right hand rod rattles off. I think, oh yeah, epic, got a fish. You know, not really, like I say, not really a zig fisherman, so buzzing as you could imagine. And then look what we got in the net. A little baby crocodile. Somehow though, the lead, don't know if you can see that, is wedged right in the side of his gob. So I've just bit the line. Somehow, I'm gonna have to tease this back through and get that out. But obviously been spodding out the gear over the top of the zig, so I reckon like we were saying, that maybe the little stuff's been feeding on the bits and pieces in that cloud mix, and he's just come through and absolutely hammered that lead and that tubing. But yeah, pike, not the one. So a mega quick update. It's probably just coming up to 1 o'clock. been spotting over zigs at all different sort of distances all morning, casting to showing fish. Nothing's really materialised yet apart from that pike, but what I'm going to do is I was just standing out just looking over the water, and I'm 99% sure I see a fish roll down in that corner and into that little bay. So just quickly knocked up a little solid bag. That's just got a little pineapple, sticky pineapple wafter in there, obviously just filled with micro pellet. I think I'm going to just dump that down in that corner for a couple of hours, see if anything happens. Obviously you've got nothing to lose, there's not a lot else happening out in front, to be fair. So yeah, I'm going to dump this one down in that corner, continue with the spods at sort of about 80 yards at the moment. I've put the 6 foot and 7 foot zigs out at. I'm going to continue to keep spodding over them just for maybe the next couple of hours, see anything happens. But that sun's slowly starting to disappear and the cloud's starting to make its way over. So I need to start thinking about prepping the spot for the night as well. But swim's a bit of a mess. There's stuff all over the place. I've been trying to wash stuff down and dry it all off from obviously the last couple of days down at Orchid. So let's get this bag down in that corner and see if we can nick ourselves a bite. Yeah, 2:30ish, and been persevering with the zigs all day, but nothing's really materialised, to be honest. So what I want to do really is just get my spot gear out and start prepping my spot for tonight, to be fair. So I want to just have a quick lap of the lake and take some stuff back down to the car to make it easier for tomorrow morning. So rods are in, they're all wrapped up, 12.5 wraps on each rod. I've got a nice marker on the horizon to ping them out to. Now rigs wise, I'm just going to go over a little change tonight. Just going to go signature yellow on that one, nice pastel yellow with a corn topper, and then manila corn topper on that one. Speaking to one of the lads that fish down here regularly, he said go with more corn than anything else, so that's what I've done. I've bulked out the spod mix with more corn than hemp or anything along those lines. So I had a bit left over from yesterday anyway, but that's what I'm going with. More corn to boilie or anything like that ratio. There's a good couple of tins worth in there. There's still a handful of 10 millers and stuff in there, and a little bit of the spod mix just to cloud it up really. I did, like I say, chop most of it away, but there's a little bit of cloud in there from the spod mix anyway. So let's get the gear out there. Like I say, I've done a lot of packing down anyway, just to make my life a bit easier in between spodding out over the zigs and stuff like that. So I packed up bits and pieces, but let's get this out there on the spot, and then I can get myself sorted for the night. And fingers crossed, we might have a fish, might be able to nick a fish. I don't care now, I'm just looking at one fish, to be fair, and I'll be happy, because conditions today have been pretty hot, to be honest, and not really seen anything showing. If we have, I've pretty much chucked a zig their way and nothing's really materialised of it. But let's get this gear out, let's get organised, and then can chill for the night and, you know, assess to see what happens with this this baited patch. But they were showing in front of me last night, so who knows, they might reappear tonight. But fingers crossed, there's always a chance with the rigs in the water, so I'll come back to you shortly. Right, so whilst the rods are in, just wanted to give you a quick rundown of how I've got them set up really. Very much like my previous session down in Orchid, I've not changed anything. So if you haven't watched that video yet, here's what I'm using. So I've got 3 rods, 2 rods I'm going to be using hinge stiff. So lead clip setup, distance lead, southwest leads, perfect matte finish, absolutely perfect for you know, fishing and weed, etc., and match that lake bed perfectly in that sense. Always use lead clip system, so you've just got quarter set up there, quick change swivel, so you can just hoop on the rigs, slide a sleeve over the top of them, and they're on and off quicker than, you know, tying them onto swivels, etc. So lead clip setup, tail rubber, just keeping that just nicked on. That'll come off nice and easy with getting a savage scrap or tucked into a bit of weed, etc. That'll drop off nice and easy. And then tubing just pushed into the tail rubber, a good foot or so of that tubing, and obviously just your main line all the way through. So I've got that on 2 rods. That's the other one, exactly the same, distance lead clip setup. And then again, I've kept onto the solid bag setup, because that does nicely down, like I say, down that left hand side margin. So little 2.5 ounce inline lead. Again, another little quick change swivel there. One of the longer sort of solid bag stems that just pushes onto the solid bag nicely, tucks on there, allows you to then twist obviously the solid bag around that stem, lick and stick, job's a good one. And then some rig tubing again, just run up, tucked inside that solid bag stem. So all basic, real basic fishing, you know, real basic setups, and you know, you just go with what you're confident in, but that's what I'm using anyway. So gonna get these rods sorted, get the rigs on them, think about getting them out nice and early so they're settled, etc. What I'm going to do as well, I think tonight, is keep that solid bag set up maybe as a roving rod, just in case I see fish start showing. I might just chuck that solid bag to showing fish for the you know, first few hours of the evening, and then sacrifice that one down the left hand spot, down that margin for maybe for the night, because like I say, I'm 99% sure I see one roll down there. So let's get these rods all sorted and out on the spots and stuff, and then I'll catch up with you a little bit later on in the evening. It was about 5 o'clock ish, and had all the rods set up, didn't I, ready to blast out maybe about 5:30, and until the wind died off, sun come out, and there's a good dozen fish or so just over my shoulder, all on the surface. So I'm in an hour and what to do. I thought, what have we got to lose? Quickly banged on one of those zigs from earlier, unclipped it because obviously I had it clipped up to the 12.5 wrap spot, and then smashed it out. But soon after that, maybe half hour or so, wind moved over, become cloudy, and that again lost all visibility really of any fish that were on the surface. But it's died off again now, so it won't surprise me if we start to see one or two mooching around again. But I'm going to give that zig maybe another half hour, 45 minutes tops, if I don't start to see anything moving around on the surface, and then get him in there for the night. The bait went out on the spot a lot earlier. That went out around sort of 2:30-ish, so that's all been rested now. That bait's down there, no disturbance. So if there are fish milling around on the surface, hopefully they'll stay down this end and get on the bait hopefully tonight, fingers crossed. Obviously I've just got till tomorrow morning till about 9 o'clock before I'm going to drop off and obviously go and freshen up and stuff like that and move down on the syndicate. But yeah, the rod went out in the zone where the fish were on the surface. Just put that out there with a bit of yellow foam, so didn't have nothing to lose. Like I said, only a matter of unclipping the rig and putting it back on. But yeah, we'll give it another half hour or so on that rig anyway, and on that zig rig, and if not, quickly whip it in, get it wrapped back up, and get those two 12.5 wrap rods out there. And I think I'm going to hold on with the solid bag reel till later. That little solid bag round that corner saved a blank. Probably got one of the prettiest fish in the lake, but probably also one of the smallest. But you know what, I'm not going to complain because it saves a blank. Probably not even £10 to be fair, but look at this one. If he behaves, he's a little one, so you know what they're like. Probably one of the worst for keeping still. But imagine this bad boy at £30. Look at him, proper scaly little one. Quality little fish. Can't even say he's given me a good scrap to be fair, because he come in straight away. But who cares? Look at him, such a cool little fish. Saves a blank as well. Happy days. More importantly, that solid bag was worth chucking down that margin. He clearly obviously get in there, and he clearly fancied a little munch up on that little bag. But what a cool fish, clearly one of the little stockies. Look at him. It's slipping back. Stick that solid bag back out. Probably got like what, 7 hours until I've got to leave. More than enough time for a chance for a bite still. Let's slip him back. No blank. Happy days. Look at it. Beautiful. Just look at that. Mist slowly rising off the water. The sun rising behind the back of those trees.
for the morning. It's coming up to about 8 o'clock. As you would have seen from a couple of the previous clips, I managed to nick one last night off that solid bag down the margin. Well, 7-8 pounder at best, but scaly little cracker. You know, 30 pound bigger, looking mental fish, real nice scale pattern on it. As you can see, everything now just getting dried off, packed down. Body's just drying off. Seen a fair few shows out there this morning, a bit beyond my bait. And to be quite honest, I don't know how I didn't have a take on any of my 2 hinge discs, to be fair. When I woke up sorting out that fish at like 2 in the morning, see a good 3 shows in the area, so I'm quite surprised that I didn't pick one off, to be honest, but just the way it goes, to be fair. I'm happy enough just to nick that little one just to save a blank. But time to get packed down and move on to the syndicate now, so everything's running out battery wise. Got no battery left really on my phone, no battery left on my charger, and this camera's slowly dying a death as well, so it's been heavily used this week. But anything happens down the syndicate, I'll try and come back to you if I can. I'm going to try and charge a couple of the bits up in the car on the way down in the car park. But if not, until then, I'll catch up with you on my next session. Thanks for watching, obviously. You know, I'm sorry I haven't been crammed full of fish, but the weather's been pretty up and down. It's been a bit tough this session, to be fair. But like I said, I managed to nick one, so that's all that matters. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, leave me any comments below, you know, all the usual jazz. But yeah, just thanks for watching as usual, really. So I'll catch up with you when I'm out on the bank next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.